most people open their notice of assessment and see whether it is a refund or a balance owing and ignore the rest. That's a mistake. The CRA Notice of Assessment tells you a lot more than just your refund or balance owing. It tells you what they accepted, what they changed, what credits you might have that you can carry forward in the future, whether it's your tuition or your RRSP contribution limit, and what they expect from you in the future. Essentially, the Notice of Assessment is CRA's final scorecard, and it tells you two things. Was the income tax return assessed as filed? And if not, what changed? So here on the CRA website, you can find some information about the Notice of Assessment and Notice of Reassessment. So it tells you the Notice of Assessment is the summary of calculated amount for your income tax and benefit return. They send you these results after receiving your tax return. The CRA will only send you a Notice of Assessment if changes are made to your assessed tax return. Okay, and the Notice of Reassessment is an updated summary of the change. How will you receive it? In your online CRA account, in your messages, okay, in your inbox, or delivery by mail, or by both, okay? And when you will receive it, essentially after you file your tax return, depending on whether you file online. If you file electronically, it'll be received sooner, maybe 2-3 weeks to a month. If you mail it, it'll take a couple of months because the processing times take so long. Yeah, there's more information here with your net file access code. Everyone has a unique access code when they file electronically. Not super important. The notice detail has the last 4 digits of your SIN number, the tax year, and the date notice was issued, okay? So what's important here actually is to note, how does a notice of assessment actually look like, okay? So if we open up the sample notice of assessment here, we can see it will tell you the month, day, year. Okay, so again, this is just a sample one from the Toronto City website. They uploaded a sample NOA, of course. Because this is from Toronto, it'll be an Ontario provincial, you'll see the provincial credits being in Ontario. Again, this is just a sample one, not a physical example of someone's, one that they created. Okay, so the first thing you're going to see is the tax year, so the month, day, year, the notice of assessment in terms of whether they assessed it as filed. So we assessed your year income tax and benefit and calculated your balance. You have a refund of X amount. We will deposit the refund into your bank account. On top of that, you'll have your name, street, city, social insurance number, tax year. Your social insurance number will just be X'd out, except for your last 4 digits. The tax year here, the date and the month and the year it was issued, as well as the tax center, okay? So essentially nothing too crazy over here. Yeah, so again, you can use your notice of assessment as a method of confirming your identity if you ever have to call the CRA, because they will essentially be asking you for these details. Here you see if you have a refund, they say they will deposit into your bank account. If you had an amount owing, you would actually have to pay that, and it will tell you that, they'll give you a way or a website link to how to pay it. And they're on the CRA website, there's multiple methods, whether you go to the bank, whether you send them a check, mail it to them, etc. Okay, and the commissioner. So you have a summary essentially of what the refund is made up of. So here you can see the tax assessment was based off of the following information, and you have all your summary here. Okay, so the summary is very important. These are the amounts that you will need to verify if you ever call the CRA and they'll ask you about. So they'll say line 15,000 total income. You'll tell them about that. So this is your total income before any sort of deductions. Then you have your net income, where you have deductions such as your RRSP and other deductions. Your taxable income, it continues, there are other deductions that have to be taken into place after net income. So this would be your net income for tax purposes. This is your taxable income, what actually gets taxed. Your total federal non-refundable tax credit, your total provincial non-refundable tax credit. So these are, examples such as your basic personal, your spousal, etc. Net federal tax, net Ontario tax, how much you owe federally and provincially each. Your total payable, which is now your total federal plus your provincial. And then you have the amount in which you have total income tax deducted. So if you're an employee somewhere, you're on your T4, they would have deducted some tax on your behalf. And you have your credits for your provincial as well as for your federal. You minus the credits and you get to your balance from this assessment and your direct deposit. So this amount will essentially equal to the refund amount stated in your notice of assessment. Okay, so again, if you had an amount that was owed, you want to pay it right away because interest is accruing from continuously from that day on. So you want to make sure that you pay it right away. You go onto that website and you see how you can pay it efficiently. Okay. So we talked about the tax summary, what those mean. If you go further down, they'll have a page or a paragraph for your explanation of changes and other information. So here you can see your Canadian training credit limit for the next year is X amount. It'll expire once you turn 65. And then they tell you something about the assessment includes your Ontario tax credits financed by the government of Ontario. Here you might also have your tuition carry forward amounts, your other carry forward amounts such as your losses as well. So very important here. It doesn't always have it doesn't always show up here, but these are generally very important parts to know to read. All right, so once we go down to the RRSP, you can see on your RRSP deduction limit statement here, you'll be able to see exactly how the RRSP final amount is calculated. Okay, so that's your available contribution limit, starting with your prior year plus any minus any RRSP from your employer, any RRSP that you contributed, plus 18% of the 2022 earned income. So the previous year income minus the tax year pension minus current year pension. So essentially what's important here is knowing how much contribution limit you have left and then how much you'll be able to contribute in the following year. So your RRSP, very important here. And if you look back into this one, they also have the different home buyers lifelong learning plan first home savings account. So depending on your notice of assessment, you might also see these balances as well, not just your RRSP. I think that this notice of assessment sample is a little bit outdated because it's 2023, 2022. 2022 is mentioned the previous year, so this must have been 2023. Which of course, you'll also have your TFSA as well in there. Now, once you get your notice of assessment, you can see that you don't have to do anything after that. This is just essentially your notice that everything is filed as it should be. If you received a notice of reassessment, then you would know that you would have to something's changed and you might not agree with it. You might have to file an objection with that notice of reassessment and kind of continue along that track. If you are filing your tax return yourself, I do recommend using Wealth Simple Tax. That is the tax software that I use when I file my own tax return. I find that it is the most reliable tax software as well as the most user-friendly. Definitely the most user-friendly one. If you take a look in the link in the description, you can see if you fund your account, we both get $25, which is really great. So something to look into if you are planning on filing your income tax return yourself. If you like this video, please subscribe. Again, this is not personalized tax advice. This is just general tax information to help you get through the tax season.